A very good morning to you, dear listener, and welcome to Perspectives, a current affairs discussion program on Agber Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi, Benue State. Today on the program, we beam spotlight on the condition of federal roads in Benue State and what can be done. Growth and development cannot be overemphasized as it drives economic activities. Research has shown that there is a strong and positive relationship between road transportation and economic growth in Nigeria. It has equally been demonstrated that transportation infrastructure can only improve the well-being of the citizens in the country. However, there are concerns regarding the condition of federal roads across Benue State, where some of the roads are not only deplorable, but have become death traps. I have been joined here in the studio this morning by seasoned experts who will rehabilitation as well as maintenance of the roads. First is a civil engineer who is the Assistant National Program Coordinator, Nigerian Institution of Water Engineers. He is a fellow of that institute. Engineer Terhemba Agber is our guest on Perspectives this morning. Welcome to the program, Engineer Agber.
Thank you very much, the presenter and listeners.
We also have a civil engineer who is a lecturer in the Department of Civil Engineering at the Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, Makurdi, Engineer Aper, Zava. We are expecting a former director of the Federal Highways, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing in Nigeria, another statesman who has served in this area all his life, Engineer Edward Ujege. And once he's here with us in the studio, we'll inform you. My name is Nathaniel Nongu, welcoming you to this Monday edition of Perspectives. And if this is your first time tuning into the program, kindly be informed that Perspectives is audience participatory, usually broadcast between now and 11 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can always join us. And to participate on the program, call in on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. And that will be at 10 o'clock when we start taking calls. Send us an SMS or a chat on WhatsApp to 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. That line is available for WhatsApp messages as well. Log on to our website on www.agetradiotv.com to listen to us and access all the content of Agber Radio. You may download the Agber Radio and TV app from Google Play Store, which serves you to listen to the radio, watch the television, as well as read the newspaper. You can find us on Radio Garden and on social media platforms where we are streaming this program and all other content as well. We're available on these platforms to serve you. Kindly stay tuned. We'll take a short break, and once we are back, our discussion will begin. Don't go away. Stay with us. Welcome back from that short break, dear listener. And I'd like to begin with you, Engineer Agber. Kindly speak to us about how essential road infrastructure is to socio-economic growth and development.
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. Road infrastructure is very critical to the socio-economic development of any society. A road is a passage that connects 2 points. It is through the road infrastructure that goods and people are transported from one place to another. If there is no road, it will be difficult to convey property items, farm produce, or personnel from one point to another. So the road is very, very essential to the socio-economic development of every society. Because, let me give you an example, in Benue State here, we are predominantly farmers. And our livelihood relies mostly on the farm produce that are produced from our farms. So without the road infrastructure, it will be very difficult to convey this produce from our farms to the marketing points. There will be a lot of waste of this produce if they are not easily moved from one place to another to keep the chain from production point to marketing point. In that, it will affect our socioeconomic well-being. And also, this road allows the easy movement of goods from other parts of the state or the country to another. For example, the road, there is a central road in Makurdi here that connects the entire northern and southern Nigeria, where a lot of activities are carried out to improve the well-being of the nation. So road is very, very critical. If people and properties are not conveyed or are not moved from one point to another, it will be difficult to improve the livelihood of the individuals and the society at large. So road infrastructure is very critical, and it plays a key role in the socio-economic improvement or development of individuals and the society at large.
Okay, Engineer Zava, let me also have your thoughts on how essential road infrastructure is to socio-economic growth and development.
Thank you very much for that question. You see, before we can understand how essential roads are to development, let's take a look at the developed world, how they started. All the developed worlds, they started by building road infrastructure. That is why an American leader once said that America has good roads not because we are developed. America is developed because we have good roads. So, but when you look at good roads in America today, you might think they have those roads because they are developed. But the leader said that is not the reason. They are developed because they have good roads. So fundamentally, road infrastructure is very critical to the economic development of any society. So you cannot get ahead without having a means of transportation, because you need to be mobile in order to be able to participate in economic activities. So when you don't have roads, it means your mobility is limited. It's some form of incapacity. So roads are very central, and there's no way any state or any locality can develop without having good roads. That is how important it is.
Okay. Well, before we proceed, we've now been joined here in the studio by an elder statesman who is a seasoned veteran civil engineer, former director of Federal Highways, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Engineer Edward Ujege. Good to have you join us, sir. Welcome to Agate Radio.
Thank you very much.
Very well. Now that you are here with us, we have just started. Let me have your thoughts on what is the current state of federal roads in Benue State.
The current state is that the roads are completely in the state of disrepair. I wouldn't even call the damage that is on the road potholes. They are no longer potholes. They are big trenches. Some are almost impassable. During the rainy season, you can hardly navigate some of the roads because of absolute non-maintenance. Which road? In fact, the only good road that you can speak about is the one from Makurdi to Lafayette to Abuja. Apart from that, I'll try and strain myself to think of any other good road which is passable and motorable and serviceable. Terminology is serviceable in Benue State. You can hardly get, I come from Jechila, and Jechila stretches from Awaji to Agber to Vandika. You can hardly navigate. It takes a long time to try and get there. I traveled from here to Otrukpo to Oju. It almost took me 5 hours, in fact 6 hours. And most of the road was in impassable position, and it was only with the help of the police that we were able to pass one section because the trailers were sunk into the ground. Like this everywhere. You are going from Otrukpo to Oweto, that is even worse. It used to be one of the best roads, but because of lack of maintenance, it's also in deplorable condition. If you go from Katsinala, where Katsinala to Wukari, part of the portion is reasonable, is in reasonable condition. Logo to Ukum, Ugba, or what it is, it's also in very bad condition. I can hardly think of any road apart from the one from here to Lafayette to Abuja.
Okay, now, having established this, it is said that majority of the nation's road network were constructed between 80s and 90s, with a large portion of them which, based on what you have said, have deteriorated into a state of disrepair. What could be the factors responsible for this?
Simple. Lack of maintenance. And when I was director of Federal Highways, and I was part of the formation of road policies, we emphasize road maintenance. And it's a simple fact of life, as Newton said, everything will disappear on this earth. But the length of stay on this earth will depend on the repairs. Even a human being. You go to Japan, people live longer than in Nigeria. And you come to Africa, the age in which it should exist. And if you don't maintain it. And when I was in university, my professor told me that if you allow water to touch anything, it's an ingredient of deterioration. If you make road out of laterite or asphalt or stone or anything, you allow water to ingrate into that material. After some time, you start failing. And that's the reason why you see the road that Benue State is doing in Benue here. They have concrete line drains or block line drains. And they last longer. They will last longer than other roads. But on a highway, you cannot afford to have 100 kilometers of concrete line drain. That alone will take all the money. So what you should try to do is yearly, there should be maintenance culture. We brought in what we call the road reform. A road reform means maintenance continuously. And when you are maintaining the road reform, the consolidated revenue cannot keep up with the maintenance. So we brought what we call a road fund. A road fund is the money that you get after the people damaging the road. When you go to buy fuel, you are damaging the road. And as such, there should be a small portion of that money kept aside in an account, apart from the consolidated revenue of the federal government where they share to other places. it should only be for the maintenance of that road, that portion of road on which the money has been collected, either by toll or otherwise. And it should then be used for maintenance of the road. And you'll be amazed how people will readily pay that small amount of money for the maintenance of those roads. I think invariably our policy with regards to roads are faulty. It's not only roads, and in many other situations, we don't believe that if we make an infrastructure, we should maintain it. And we do not think seriously about how to fund it, how to fund that maintenance. Because most of our politicians think that when you do something new, something fresh, you go and cut the tape and people clap. That's the end of it. That is just the beginning. Even a human being, you put a human being on earth, you start maintaining, you start giving it food, you start doing this or that, or the person will die almost immediately. His lifespan will be short. And this is the reason why when I was there, we constructed these roads in 1980s. That was my period, 1990s. This was my period. And when we constructed and they started getting spoiled, we called the federal government. I said, look, you have to put on a maintenance culture. If not, you are going to lose this infrastructure. And as I came in, you were asking the others, the quantity of money that you are putting, the value of this road, you cannot quantify it, because the economy of this country and the way we move, whether educationally or otherwise, is dependent on the road infrastructure or the transportation infrastructure. We have failed in railways. The aircraft, the air transportation, I was told that it's about 600,000 naira from Abuja to Lagos. I can't afford it anymore. Or at least if I'm going to make it, I have to think twice. And therefore, we have lost our transportation infrastructure completely. And this is dangerous to the development of the economy of this country.
All right, we are going to x-ray what government can do to address this challenge. But Engineer Zava, you are a civil engineer, a scholar. From your point of view, what are the technical factors contributing to deterioration of the roads, especially federal ones in Benue State?
Okay, thank you very much. If you look at the design concept of roads, every road is designed with a particular lifespan. For the kind of roads we have here, which we use asphalt, we call them flexible pavements. Usually their lifespan is 20 years. It means that after 20 years, you need to strengthen the road for it to continue serving. Now, these roads in question were constructed in the 80s and 90s. If you do your computation, you know that their lifespan is more than 20 years. Now, after these 20 years, if nothing is done on the roads, then they are going to fail. So there are many factors that contribute to road failure, but majorly in this case, we can say it is because they have outlived their lifespan and nothing was done on them. The second factor is the case of overloading. At the time of designing a road, it is designed to carry a particular traffic load. That is, the weight of vehicles plying the roads has to be factored in. Now, if we assumed that a vehicle is, the weight of the vehicle is 18 tons, kilonewtons, for instance, and in the course of the service life of the road, the vehicles using the road are weighing more than that, it's going to fail because it wasn't designed to carry that traffic load. And so the problem we have here is that there is any form of regulation as to the weight of vehicles on the road. There used to be something like that. Our elder statesman will know during their time there was something like weight bridges at toll gates. Those weight bridges used to monitor the weight of vehicles Those things are no longer in existence. So any truck can load anything and ply the roads and destroy it. No matter how well it is built, it will be destroyed because it's carrying the weight that it wasn't designed to carry. And the issue of construction, poor construction too, could lead to failure, premature failure. If the right materials were not used, or if the workmanship is poor, it won't last. And sometimes for the road to last, it has to have some level of thickness based on the design. And what happens mostly is that we don't have money, and we want to construct the roads to be long. And because of that, we kind of limit the thickness of the layers so that we can get along with the small money. And that also limits the lifespan of the road because it's not as thick as it's supposed to be. And then the issue of maintenance culture, which the other statesman talked about. All of these factors, when they come into play, they destroy our roads. But majorly, I think, is the issue of lifespan that we are dealing with here, because roads that were constructed in the 80s and 90s, nothing has been done on them, so there's no reason for them to continue serving. So that's where we are now.
Okay, Engineer Agber, how do soil types and geology affect the construction and maintenance of a road?
Thank you very much. Before a road is designed, a lot of preliminary that. So in the final analysis, the recommendations of the pavement, so the road is going to stretch along. So in design, we factor all these things before the final design is carried out. Another thing is, just like an elder statesman had said, if you design a road without a drainage line, it affects the layers below the pavement over time. So another thing is, there is another point I want to stress here before we go further. Most of the roads, at the point they were designed, these roads in Benue State, at the points they were designed, the rail system was very functional. And the rail system was mainly for haulage of goods. Then most of our goods were transported through the rail system. So the load that was factored in the design as they did not factor that these roads, there will be haulage of goods, excessive goods on these roads. So that is also a contributory factor to the failure of the road system. Another one is the effect of climate change. Most of our river channels have been silted. There have been continuous deposit of sediments, which has reduced the depths of this river. So anytime we have small rain, water overflows into the banks and onto our roads. And just like the elder had earlier said, water and road pavement are not a harmonious couple. So if you subject our roads to water for some time, it begins to weaken the subgrade, which eventually will cause collapse of the roads. So, in essence, these are some of the factors that are responsible for the failure of our roads. And then the lack of maintenance. Over time, it was very difficult for the ministry to carry out this maintenance. And eventually, I think with the support of our elder, an agency was established to be responsible for for maintenance of the national roads, FEMA, that is Federal Road Maintenance Agency. But it has been difficult. Probably they are overwhelmed with the state of disrepair of the national roads, or maybe due to paucity of funds, I wouldn't know. But over time, all these factors have accumulation of these factors have led to the failure and collapse of our road system.
Okay. You want to add something,
yes,
sir?
I want to
Please
add.
go ahead.
No, he made a very good explanation. You had asked about the preference either for laterite or other forms of road construction. And this has been an area of debate, especially with the new minister. The minister said concrete roads. Yes, concrete roads are good. But any other road, it depends on what my colleagues say here. Any other road is good. What we engineers do is say they impose load, and the bearing capacity of the material that is going to carry it. For instance, laterite we carried less than stones. That's why we have laterite base and laterite constructed formation of road. But if we are rich enough, we have stone base. And stone base depends on what composition has a higher bearing capacity. And that's the main issue why. And you can have a good stone base and flexible pavement. Stone base is when you have base and sub base and so are all stones, crushed stones. Then asphalt, you can have asphalt, depends on the thickness. You go to Abuja, you see that the thickness and the composition of specification of that is very good, and they last longer. So it's the bearing capacity of the material as well as the imposed axial load. The amount of load you put into a trailer, for instance. The axial is the shaft that goes through and ends up in a tire. They apply a certain weight on ground. So if you want a strong road to last for 20 years, you can design it with cross stone and asphalt overlay. You can also do that with a concrete pavement. It depends on what you want, and it can all be what you want.
Okay. Dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on Agber Radio 95.5 Star FM Makurdi. We are discussing the condition of federal roads in Benue State. And I have with me here in the studio 3 seasoned experts, former Director of Federal Highways, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, and NEDA statesman, Engineer Edward Ujege. And I also have the National Assistant Program Coordinator, Nigerian Institution of Water Engineers. He is a civil engineer, Engineer Terhemba. Agber, former Chairman, Nigerian Institution of Water Engineers, Benue State Chapter. I also have a lecturer in the Department of Civil Engineering at the Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, Makurdi, Engineer Aper, Zava. These are my panelists on the program. And later at 10 o'clock, you too can participate by letting us know what you feel about the condition of federal roads in Benue State, maybe in your domain, and perhaps the ones you have applied on. The number through which you can call in at 10 o'clock is 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. The SMS line and WhatsApp, which is already available for you to send a contribution, is 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. Kindly include your full name and the location address where you're sending your message from. Log on to our website on www.igetradiotv.com to listen to us and access other content of iGate Radio as well. We're available on Radio Garden and on social media platforms where this program is also streaming. You may equally download the iGate Radio and TV app from Google Play Store, which avails you a wide platform to access our radio online, newspaper as well as television. All these were there to serve you. Engineer Zava, quickly, you want to say something, but I'll ask you to give us insights into what qualified or what categories of roads that can be classified as federal roads in Benue State. Engineer Zava.
Basically, the simple explanation is that a federal road connects two states.
That's the trunk A,
yes,
as it is called, right?
Yes, so basically it connects two states. That makes it a federal road. But if it runs within a state, then there's nothing federal about it. I think that's a simple explanation of it. So though other factors might come in, but as simple as a federal road connects one state to another, and basically it also carries more traffic load than any other road in the network. So basically that is it.
Okay, so Engineer Ujege, you, given your background as a one-time director of federal highways, help us understand the estimated kilometers of federal roads we have in Benue State and what qualifies then to be federal roads trunk A as they are.
I was also what they call Director of Engineering Services in the State Ministry of Works.
Okay.
From 1980 to 1984. And that's when policies were made. It was also before independence, when the white people were there, and the Ministry of Works, Federal Ministry of Works, were called PWD, Public Works Department. And therefore, they singled out 5 main roads, starting from the north to the south. They called the trunk A roads. And then east to west, they called them trunk B roads. These were the roads that eventually became federal roads. And when Abacha was there, and Gemade became the Minister of Works, they added other states roads, other federal roads that link states, 2 or 3 states put together. It was during that time that a number of roads here in Benue State were adopted by the federal government to be federal roads. But mainly, trunk A road started from Sokoto, and trunk B road started from Lagos to Niger. It ended up in Kano. And this trunk 3 started from Calabar through Katsinala and went to Maiduguri. And the east-west roads were also trunk roads in Nigeria. It was after that there was need to increase the number of roads that Gemade at his own, it was a military rule, so you just wrote a memo. So I wrote the memo, and he passed it, and Abacha approved it, and that became law, and they became federal roads. And there were about 33,000 kilometers of federal roads at that time. States roads, we aggregated, it was in the region of about 100 and, I cannot remember exactly, but 104 or thereabout kilometers of road. The local government roads were double that length. That's what we had at that particular time. But it was also an edict, highway law, I've forgotten what the name is, that the federal government cannot go and construct or maintain any road outside the gazetted roads. That's what was happening at that time. But now,
That's in Benue.
I can't.
It's okay.
Let's be sincere. I can guess, but I can't say it exactly.
Okay, that's fine. Now, Engineer Agber, let me have your thoughts on, in terms of the condition of federal roads in Benue State. Do they give you a cause to worry?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think any person with a decent mind will have a cause to worry because of the state of the roads that we have in Benue State. Just as my colleague, Engineer Zava, had earlier said, you can only progress, you can only be mobile if you have quality, good roads. In Benue State, nearly all the federal roads that we have here have collapsed. It's connecting people from one point to another, connecting our farmers from the point of produce to the point of marketing, connecting transportation of goods from one point to another. It has been a very serious worry and concern. If you recall, some few months ago or some few weeks ago, there was a challenge that necessitated the governor to call on the federal government to come and intervene and repair these roads. So it's a major, serious concern, and it affects the healthy living of the people in this community. Because if you travel from one point to another, you spend a lot of man hours. You are not comfortable. There is action or wear and tear on the vehicle. You spend a lot of resources. You cannot transport your goods from one point to another. You cannot move food from the point of produce to your home. All this is having a toll on the individuals and the residents of the state. So it's a major, serious concern.
Okay, for instance, the road, which of course leads from Yande through Bema, connecting Kasnala, Vandike, and that axis. Recently, just about 2 weeks or so, there was an overflow of water on that road, leading to the collapse of even a portion of the bridge between Dura and all of that. As a water engineer and a civil engineer, help us understand how best road infrastructure of that category could be stabilized.
The siltation of our water bodies, deposit of sediment of water, either from the rain or the release of water from the Lagdo Dam, will lead to overflow onto the embankment. You will recall that over the years, we have not been having that challenge. Several years back, we've never had that challenge. Just a few years back, that we have started experiencing flooding of that portion of the federal highway. You will also recall that the federal government had made a proposal that they are going to dam the upstream of that Dura stream so that it will capture all the excess water that flows through that axis. All that in a bid to mitigate the effect of flooding on the highway. So, like I said, we have to provide drainage system. We have to dredge our river bodies, especially the River Benue along that stretch. The entire River Benue, there has been concern and call for dredging of the River Benue. Because if the river is dredged, the channel, the carrying capacity of water in the channel will increase. It's just like you have a bucket of water, a bucket that contains 20 liters of water. And then over time, maybe sand has deposited in the bucket up to halfway. That will reduce the carrying capacity to 10 liters. And then if you introduce 20 liters, definitely 10 liters will overflow. That is the same thing that is happening to our our water bodies. So we crave and we call for dredging of our river, the river Benue, and then just as the federal government has suggested that they are going to dam the upper stream of the lower river Benue basin. I think if all that is done, it will harvest water, excess water that's supposed to overflow and submerge our highways, our farmlands, and even our homes.
Okay, Engineer Zava, now let's talk about the condition of these roads. In terms of maintenance, which Engineer Agber did stated earlier about the responsibility of FEMA, do you think they are living up to expectation, especially as it concerns the state of federal roads in Benue?
Well, I think even FEMA themselves will tell you, we admit that they are not living up to expectation. So that question is obvious. I think the question should be, what is stopping FEMA from living up to their expectation?
Beautiful.
Because that's how we should look at it. But basically, they are not living up to expectation. And I believe something is stopping them from performing. I once worked with FEMA as a core member, and after my service year, I was also retained to work with them. So I worked with, so I understand what happens there. Now, this is how FEMA operates. They have offices, field offices in all states of the Federation, including Benue here. Now, their responsibility in their state is to constantly survey the federal roads in the state. We call it road condition survey. Now, when they do this survey, they identify fade portions along each of the roads and document it. And then they sit down and write a proposal for the repairs of those fade sections. And then they send it to Abuja. Now, what happens is that they need to get funds from Abuja in order for them to implement the repairs they have proposed. And that is where the problem usually comes. It takes too long for the funds to come. Sometimes they come, they don't come in the quantity expected. So basically, the funding is a problem. The funding for road funding is a problem. And when Elder Edward was talking initially, he was talking about having a fund, a central fund for the maintenance of these roads. And for you to have that fund, it means that you are going, you are going to collect user charge, the user charges. So that is basically what is stopping FEMA from living up to their expectation, funding. And I also think that we also have the issue of the technical personnel, the correct ones that need to be in place for them to do their job the way it has to be done. So these are the issues I see with FEMA.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Now, with FEMA in particular,
Yes.
let's look at their role in terms of rehabilitation and maintenance.
Before I go to that, I have to tell you that the creation of FEMA was my handiwork. I was in the office one day, and my minister was Tony Anene. I said the president was calling us to go and discuss, which was formulated between the Ministry of Works and the World Bank. And the memo was to the board, a road management board or executive that will implement that. And the World Bank saw that there was no way that the federal government could finance the maintenance of roads. So I got into the car with the minister, and we were driving to Aso Rock to meet Obasanjo. And halfway to that place, he received a phone from the president and said, there's no need. We should go and see the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, which was Ujege, the one that was killed. So we went there, and Ujege told us that instead of that road board, road fund, and all that, the president has directed that we have a parastatal in charge of maintenance of roads. So what he is going to do is to get his draftsman and me to sit down and draft a law to create a FEMA. And that's the reason why I said I created a FEMA. So we sat down with the draftsman. I've drafted the law for FEMA. When you draft it, it has to go to ESCO, from ESCO goes to National Assembly. But I objected to it, and Tony Anene, as a young man, sometimes when you believe in something, you tend to be very vocal about it. I told Tony Anene, Chief Tony Anene, like, this is not what I came here to do. I said, I keep quiet. They told you to draft it. Draft it. And I am telling you, immediately that FEMA was created, I left. But immediately that FEMA was created, or even before I left, it started fighting with what you call constitutional funding.
Of the agency?
No, constitutional funds that go to every senator, go to every House of Representatives. Okay. So the federal government money was diverted from the executive to the legislature. The legislature, they are supposed to do laws. Now, I think they vote about 10 or 500 million for each senator to go and do solar system in the village, or water, boreholes, and all this. So, you see, the money that is supposed to go to the executive for the main road infrastructure and others that are essential to the improvement of the nation is not diverted to individual. And when it's diverted, they now choose who is the contractor, what project to be done, and how that money is distributed. You understand me?
Yes.
So when I was there, we fought. We said this constituency allowance, I think allocation or allowance they call it. Oh, you remember the name?
Yes.
Yeah. So
projects.
It's taking a lot of chunk of the money that would have been for FEMA, would have been for roads, and above all, the economists say if you are short of money, you have to choose the project you do. This coastal highway, I don't know how, there's nothing wrong with a coastal highway. There's nothing wrong. But when you leave so many roads in the nation, unserviceable, and it's very good to say coastal road. It sounds very good to politicians. We politicians, we want something, will go and cut tape and everybody will be there and clap. And this newspaper, it makes news and it gets votes. But when you look at the economy of scale, you asked my colleague here, Agber, the question. We are suffering. First of all, if you have a car and drive on Benue roads, the cost to the car, shock absorbers and all that, the fuel you will use will be more. If you have to transport food from the village to wherever to sell, the cost has gone up. Even when you are sending your child to school, the transport fare has gone up. You cannot bring food from the villages to where they are supposed to be sold.
Very well, sir.
Let me say one more issue.
Yes, briefly.
Security. You see, wherever there is security problem, it's lack of roads and accessibility. Soldiers and police cannot get there easily. You look at these places. Look at Gwe West. Look at this bordering this. What road do you have? Network do you have? Anyway, I have too much to say. Let me stop there.
Yes,
So because I'll take you all the time.
Yeah, but I wanted you to comment just briefly. This one should be pointed. This FEMA, which is the brainchild of, so to say, since you accepted your administration or during your time that was created, are you proud of this agency, what it is doing in Benue on the state of our roads in particular, the federal ones?
How will I put a judgment on that? I can't put a judgment. You ask somebody to go and farm and you don't give him a hole to go and farm. He can't farm. So funding is inadequate. And funding goes for training of staff. Funding goes for material procurement. Funding goes for vehicles and innovation and everything. If you don't have the funding, how can you manage? So why I say they're inadequate in whatever they're doing, I can't blame them.
Okay. All right. We're due to start taking calls. Dear listener, if you're just tuning in, the program is Perspectives on iGate Radio. We're discussing the condition of federal roads. You can call in on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Once you connect with us, we would like to know your full name and where you're calling from. Then you go ahead and make your submission. The SMS line, which is also available on WhatsApp, is 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. We'll start taking calls, but that will be after this short breather. Kindly stay tuned, dear listener. Welcome back from that short break, dear listener. We are due to start taking your calls now. And as we emphasize, once you connect with us, we'd like to know your full name and where you're calling from. Be very brief in your submission. Let's know the state of the federal roads in Benue around your domain and what you feel about them. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
My name is Aluga Sebastian. I'm calling from Tomo.
Good to have you, Aluga Sebastian.
Yes. I really want to appreciate this program because this is what is bothering us, especially when I talk of Tomo. Everybody knows that from Air Force Base down to Urukum roundabout. It's like we are even, at times when we are coming from this side, we prefer coming from Majiba because from here to Urukum, it's up to 5 minutes. We do up to 30 minutes. We have never reached Urukum. So the set of the road, federal road, is very bad. We are begging on government to help us. One other thing I know about this is, because some of us we travel a lot, there is some states, if a state governor is in good terms with the president, he may repair the road. And we know that president will pay him back because he's in a good state with his boss. But at times when you see the president and the governor are not in good terms, we will allow the road to be. But for this our state, we believe that our governor, the governor of Benue State, is in good terms with the president. And we have a lot of people, the FGS is here, we have big people, ministers are here. Please, they should join here together and help us. We are suffering, especially inside state headquarters here. Okay. We are suffering. So we are pleading that government to help us to repair the road. Thank you very much and God bless.
Aluga Sebastian, thank you for calling in. Okay, when we are discussing, we will know the place of the governors in getting to repair or rehabilitate the federal roads in that domain, whereas Aluga Sebastian is suggesting. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, for me, I want to first of all appreciate the federal government so much for responding on the construction of Lifia Road to Makurdi, from Makurdi now to Utukpo. I want to appreciate them, and I want to tell all listeners and contributors that road is something that you not take a week or
hello, Cecil. Let me interrupt you briefly. You said Makurdi, Lafia to Makurdi and Makurdi to Otukpo?
Yes.
I don't know whether you mean the construction of Makurdi to Otukpo has been done, or I don't understand.
Yes, I want to say it has not done, but the construction is ongoing. And then, if you look at it now, you know very well that serious has been put in place. You go to the branch, the junction where the road constructors are staying at Masse. They are putting something there to tell you people that this is the kind of the picture of what they want to put here. So the federal government is trying. The only thing I want, they should just put more effort, because if you come to Makurdi to Lifia now, you see the road there is well done. So I believe from Makurdi to Otukpo, it will be the same thing. So the road here is very, very standard from Makurdi to Lifia. The same thing I want them to put in place. And then the state government also to be a kind of being around the road, so that maybe they will not do something of different nature in your state.
Okay.
The federal government is fine concerning the road construction. I appreciate them so much.
Thank you, Tewase. Thank you for calling in. Okay. Tewase is impressed with the dualization and construction of Makurdi to Lafia, and expects Sam on Makurdi to Otukpo. We hope the construction should be done.
Just in the studio.
Good morning.
I am Ujege from Bajimba, the local government.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. First and foremost, I want to appreciate the federal government for constructing the road from Lafia to Makurdi. I'm still encouraging them to do more, mostly in the federal roads in Benue State. Secondly, one of our stakeholders in Benue State made mention that we cannot chop the road. But when we see critical road infrastructure is one of the critical infrastructure.
On this program, Godwin Yajo, did that stakeholder? No. Okay.
No, I just want to debunk the statement that he made.
On this program? Did you say?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not today. It's not today.
Okay, fine.
And yes. Secondly, the issue of FEMA. We have been seeing the services that FEMA render to the public, but we don't see the impact of that maintenance. Year in, year out, the FEMA had been making the maintenance, but the areas that they make the maintenance, the roads are more bad than as it is. So, I don't know, what is the sense of making the FEMA to destroy our road more? If I may ask. Thank you and God bless you.
Godwin, thank you for calling in. Okay, Godwin is not satisfied with the rehabilitation FEMA does on the roads. That, according to him, that they make the roads more bad. Anyway, that's an allegation. Hello, good morning. Okay, we lost connection with that caller. 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Good morning and welcome to Perspective.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Nathaniel Nongu.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I am Engineer Sunday Agber. I'm calling from North Bank, Makurdi.
Thank you, Sunday.
I really want to appreciate you for your ability to bring this crop of professionals to this to your studio today.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Elder Statesman Ujege, or equivocally is the father of engineering in Benue State. Yes. We know him, Agber and Zava, we all know them. Very good. They have given very good account of the risk that happened to federal roads in Benue State. And they have also alluded to the factors that constitute why roads fail. They have articulated their points very well. But I want to mention one area, maybe that they are not mentioned and people overlook. community action. Sometimes when there is an accident on a particular community, the community members will just get up and begin to build mountains on the road in the name of speed breakers. This is destroy the road. One, when the rain falls, it will pull water there. Like one of the guys said that water and road pavement are strange bedfellows. It will destroy the road pavement. And number two, the vehicles coming, they will be forced to match brake automatically, and will know what frictional forces as a result of brake action can cause. It causes abrasion to the road pavement and also cause damage to the road. And sometimes these heavy axle vehicles, articulated vehicles, when they have a challenge on the road or when their tires puncture, they will just jack. They will put their jack directly on the road pavement. This will cause concentrated load on that particular portion and cause what we call punching shear and develop pothole. And when potholes begin to develop, the road begin to destroy. Those are some of the actions that people do. And sometimes when people celebrate or they are protesting, they just make bonfire on the road pavement. And the heat will destroy the road pavement. So I'm advising our people, in as much as we are calling on the relevant authorities to maintain our roads, let us not use our heart to destroy what is already in place.
All right.
Thank you very much for the topic. Your guests have spoken very well. I adore them.
Thank you, Engineer.
Sir Engineer Ujege, thank you very much. I did IT under you in 1981, but when I graduated in 84, you had already left and went to take water board. I do you very well. Agber, thank you. Yeah.
We are very happy.
We appreciate you, Engineer Agber. Engineer Agber is a regular caller on this program, and I think for today is directly his day because he loves speaking about engineering issues. Even if you are not discussing engineering, you will find a way to tie engineering. So we appreciate you for calling in, Engineer Agber. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. Hello. Okay, we lost connection with that caller. 0814-335-9292. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives. Hello? Hello? Okay, you're on, but you're not coming through, so try to call back. Also, the SMS line is available. Sometimes there's so heavy traffic on the call line, so if you are not able to get through, simply send us an SMS to 0912 line for SMS, which is also available on WhatsApp. You can participate also by reaching us through that platform. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Yes, I'm John Aduku. I'm calling from Makurdi here.
Thank you, sir. Which part of Makurdi are you reaching us from, John Aduku?
Yes. The road issue.
Okay.
In Makurdi. Let me say Benue State in particular.
Unfortunately, John Aduku, the network at your end seems to be breaking. Maybe you want to stabilize your position so we hear you better.
Okay, I'm here. I'm okay now.
There. Go on, please.
Okay. You see, it's very unfortunate what we are seeing across Benue and Nigeria in general. You see, when FEMA was introduced, we held it. They were working. But you see, the issue of corruption in Nigeria, FEMA is being given money, but the people at the top, we heard from the grapevine, immediately the money comes in from the federation account, they share the money. It's very unfortunate. They are releasing this money, but they share it. Nobody to monitor them. As Engineer Ujege said, it's a very, look, I know him very well. He was the one that introduced that program. That was one of the best programs in this country by then so far. But they killed it because of corruption. Now, talking on the roads generally in Benue, is all the roads in Benue owned by federal government? No. Some roads are state roads, especially the roads that go into the rural areas. Benue State was created in 1976. Just go to Lafia here, my brother. See the roads there within the town. How the roads has become. Go to the rural areas. At least there is one road every year to each of the local government areas. But look at our state here. A state that was created in 1976 is nothing to write home about. When Father Alia has come, he has started doing his best, but some people are attacking him. They don't want him. They don't want him.
John Aduko, when you say the state is nothing to write home about,
On roads. I'm talking on roads. Yes, on roads. Yes, but all the federal roads in Benue, how many are they? But the rural roads in Benue State, that is my own concern. The rural road, the federal roads, federal government is doing its best.
Okay.
Like now from Makurdi to Otukpo now. In the next 1 year, we will be able to pass that place really.
All right.
From the Vandekia area to say Abaraba, Ukum, and Zakibiam. The federal government, once in a while, they come there, do one small job, and go. And it borders on corruption. They are giving them this money to maintain the road. They are eating the money. The problem with the federal government on about that rules now is to monitor his people,
Okay.
the staff that are deployed there.
All right.
So I thank you very much. I thank
you.
Engineer Ujege.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, John Aduko, for calling in. Corruption should be monitored. Some of those may be allegations which are subject to be proven, but you have made your point. The corruption within the system that may hamper the getting attention to the roads should be looked into. We appreciate you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
This is Edambaukan.
Edambaukan, where are you reaching us from, sir?
I'm calling you from high level.
Okay.
With my senior and President General KP Old Boys, Engineer Ujege.
Thank you very much.
And I greet all the
appreciate
other engineers in the studio. Well, as for me, I wonder why government is becoming more and more scared of citizens. In the first place, in the past, I was born in Jos. My father was a driver. He could go to Kaduna, go to Otupa. He was in the state the stores for medicine. He carried drugs to and fro before going to Lagos to bring the vehicles themselves to Benue Plateau State. So I used to travel with him. He took up his vehicle. We used to look at the things that we are watching all this. Maybe I'm too pessimistic. The imagination that keeps running into my heart is that government officials prefer a situation where things become very, very bad so that they can award big contracts. And when they do big contracts, nobody knows what happens behind the floor. Otherwise, if you can, like the engineer, the ultimate one in Benue, Ujege has been saying, maintenance, perpetual maintenance, day in and day out. Okay, maybe even they will start complaining about citizens who don't receive their gutters. Well, let me just cut it short. The professionals are there. They have done very well.
Thank you.
But it's very, very painful because some of us can no longer travel. I come from Vandika, and I imagine that I get there hours. And as an elderly man myself now at the age of 65, it becomes another sickness. So thank you anyway. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day too, Edambaukan. Anyway, of course, that's the concern it gives to commuters. Edambaukan just shared his worry having to travel on the deplorable roads, and many of them, some, not all, many are in that state. Makurdi to Naka is a cause, and Obioju. The images surfaced on social media. Very terrible. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
I greet everybody in the studio, sir.
I greet you too.
Okay. My name is Mike Gadi. I'm calling from Gadi Layout, Makurdi.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. First of all, my take, I want to reiterate on that issue of bombs on the highway. We need to look into that. Those bombs on the highway, most times, just like that engineer called in and said, the bombs most time are placed in places where they hold water. And this water, they destroy the roads. That's number one. Number two, I want to say the contracts on the highways. Who are these contracts given to? Is it to individuals or to companies directly? By the time we give these contracts to companies directly, we are able to ask them questions. when you give contracts to people who are your friends or people you know around, when you have issues, you find it very difficult to see how you can get them redo the road. But when you get directly to companies will be able to give you guarantees and you deal on terms and conditions. So number two. And lastly, number three, the maintenance of the road. Sometimes when the road is very bad, maybe kilometers, instead of coming to remove the road completely, they come and just make patches. And these patches will just be within some places and leaving other places. So it's as good as the road is not maintained. Let me give a typical example. Yesterday, when I drove to town.
Briefly and conclude, please.
Yes, yesterday, that's my last point, sir. Yesterday, when I drove through Wurukun roundabout, the road is being removed from the roundabout to Studio P. So when you have road bad, like you remove it to a long distance, not to come and just make some patches. So on the maintenance, I submit that the road should be removed where it is bad completely, and then
some of them needs total reconstruction and not just patches of maintenance, as it sometimes the case. 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. The SMS line is 0912, but we can barely hear you speak, so we'll try to call back 0814-335-9292. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us. Kindly move away from your radio.
Okay, sir. I'm calling you from Warata. My name is Charity.
Okay, Charity who?
Charity Doga.
Charity Doga?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Charity Doga. Go ahead and speak to us.
I want to comment on this road issue.
Yes.
About this Boko to Al Kasinala.
Yes.
We business people, we went to market to Sakigan, bought a kaya, bought things. So our driver load, I told him to follow Kasinala. He said, God forbid, how will he follow that road that is too bad? He will not run it up to 1 month or his tires to spoil. So they went and followed this Buluku road. Reaching there, then bring Kenu. So when they said, they started the motor to Kenu, we did not reach on center of the river. The Kenu break. We started the water started entering the Kenu, and so we are entering inside the river. It is God that saved us. So as you people are saying about this road, I'm so happy. Government should look about the road from Boko to Kasinala. It's too bad. No driver that are going to follow that. All the motor now is following only that road. And that river is too full now. Here. Right now, I get out now. I'm sitting one place because of the road.
Oh, sorry about that, Charity.
So I'm so happy for that. Thank you so much.
Charity, thank you.
And I greet all the studio people there.
We appreciate you for calling in and sharing that experience with us.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we wish you speedy recovery from your accident injury. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, that's a real-time experience. You can imagine one having to avoid a certain route to go through one that passes through a river, and look, the experience, quite a horrible one. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we're back. Good morning.
Good morning, Nathaniel.
Thank you for joining us. Could you speak up? We can barely hear you. You sound inaudible. If you speak up louder, we'll hear you, sir.
I greet all people in the studio there.
Thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is John G. I'm calling from the Tirego local government.
Okay, John G. Thank you.
I want to comment about the federal road. Look at the road to Makurdi to Kasinala. In fact, if you go there, you will know in Nigeria is corruption. Sometimes if you see the bulldozer on the road, even sometimes 3 days. You can't you can't see them there. But I think that they give contract on that road. So in fact, unless Nigeria will change, otherwise there will something very bad. But for me, I say that unless we can.
Okay, John G, I'm sorry we'll conclude here. Thank you so much. The network seems to be really unfriendly and you are not coming through very well. But all the same, thank you for the points you made. Ifola, but the line is still available. Good morning and welcome to the program. Hello. Send us an SMS to 0912-699-9404, 0912-699-9404. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Yes, good morning. This is Congo Terhemba calling from Mobile Barracks.
The name is who?
Congo Terhemba from Mobile Barracks.
Congo.
Yes, Terhemba.
Right. Congo Terhemba. Go ahead.
Yes. I want to comment on the Makurdi road. The road that is the federal road is only 40 kilometers. The road is too bad. Before it will take you 30 minutes to Naka, but now what takes 2 hours to reach Naka. So I'm calling on the federal government, the House of Representatives, senators. We have senators that will go with.
Congo, the networking in Mobile Barracks, it seems not to be allowing you to make your submission. Yes,
but I can hear you.
Okay, well, go ahead.
I can hear you.
The challenge is we're hearing you well, sir.
Yes, I'm calling on them to come to our aid because of the ban. The motorcycle riders who are managing to convey people from Makurdi to Naka, they are on protest. They have gone on strike because 2 days back they killed 4 people there.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So please, even for security personnel to rush to the scene of the incident, because of the nature of the road, they were not able to reach there. So please, this is the matter going day by day. I lost a lot of people on that road. They are begging on the federal government to come to our aid. From Makurdi to Naka, it's only 40 kilometers.
Thank you, Congo Terhemba.
Thank you.
Thank you. And condolences to you for all the persons you say you've lost on that road. So these are harrowing experiences when we hear them. We'll pause here momentarily before we go back to the course. But Engineer Ujege, let's look at the economic implications of the disrepair of some of this total reconstruction.
Thank you very much, Nat. Before I say that, I want to observe one thing.
Yes.
There's a highway law which was enacted by the regime pre-independence, which we used to use. It has the military changes to highway edict, and this allows an expanse of road from the center. I think I forgot about 30 way. Within that, nobody is supposed to do anything within that area because the highway, all federal roads. One would have expected that highway, what do you call this for? Highway, these people who stand by the road.
Road safety.
Road safety. Highway road safety should be in charge of making sure that all these humps they are talking about are not there. Instead, they go onto the road and are asking you for certificates. They are supposed to make the road, to keep the road as far as possible in a safe, motorable way when it's being constructed. That is what I would like to say. I want to make an element to say something about that.
Yes.
And what question do you ask me?
I was wondering, with the disrepair of some of these roads, the rehabilitation alone, will they serve, or do they need total reconstruction?
Some need total, in fact, almost all need total reconstruction. You take Boko to Hugh to same care. There's a huge amount.
But is that actually a federal road? Boko Hugh
it's a federal road.
Okay.
Even a contract was awarded on it during my time. And Boko to Katsinala, that has been mentioned, there's no way you can maintain that road to a serviceable condition. You need a total reconstruction. And if you talk about Otrukpo to Oju, in fact, which road? I can't think of any federal road in Benue that does not require reconstruction or rehabilitation. But that's one thing that can be done. There's no road that you cannot maintain. That is, a human being, as far as living, you can give it medicine to make the position better. So one thing I went to the FEMA and told them, they say, if you cannot do much, at least fill these potholes with laterites. Let people pass. It's not engineering correct. I have a professor of civil engineering here. It's not engineering correct, but it's workable. Just get laterite and fill these potholes as you go along. They will start telling you the moisture content and all that and that. But it's better for people to pass than not to pass at all. So we need reconstruction, but at the same time, that you ameliorate the suffering that people are suffering, it's good to have at least limited maintenance.
Okay, Engineer Agber, the woman who called us from Wadata, you listened to her, how people are diverting for having to come through Kasinala, Boko, Gbema, down to Makurdi, and the experience of going through Buruku and having to cross the river. You listened to that.
Yes, I did.
So, although it is in public domain that contract for the construction of the bridge at Buruku River Crossing Point has been awarded, but does this speak to the general economic implication people are going through?
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. I share in sympathizing with her. It's quite unfortunate that commuters have to go through all this stress just because of the state of our roads. Contract has been awarded, and we have heard reliably that the contractor is mobilizing to site. But that does not take away the fact that other factors are being affected. The socioeconomic aspect or well-being is also affected. You see, when you have a good road, you have long life. There is a correlation between long life and quality of road that you travel on. If you are traveling on a good road, your mind is at rest. If you affect your state of health. If my voice can be heard, I will suggest that the federal government should adopt a public-private partnership model. I traveled to Manila in Philippines, and I discovered that all their roads were in very good condition. And I asked, this is a coastal country. It means that the cost of construction will be very expensive because it's a coastal area. And then I was tempted to ask, looking at their economy, they are a third world country too. So I asked them, how come you have this quality of roads? And looking at your economic standing. And they told me that all the roads are constructed by PPP model, you give all the roads to partners, they will construct, they will manage, they will tour the road, recover their money. That's the same thing that federal government has done on this Abuja, Lafia, Makurdi highway that we extend down to, to private partners. You can give out Makurdi, Boko, Yandev, Ugboma, Ajikbo, Vandika, down to the Ogoja corridor. You give it out. And then the Boko Hugh to Konya is another another federal road.
Makurdi to Naka.
Makurdi to Naka. So give out this road to partners. That will take away the stress of government looking for resources to fund these projects. Give it out on terms, this road, they will tour the roads.
Engineer Zava, earlier on, one of our callers did mention the prospects of a state government with the president. Would that approach be a sustainable one in getting our federal roads in Benue rehabilitated, and how can Benue key into that?
To look at the politics of how roads make it into the budget.
Okay.
There's some politics that is a problem in Benue, basically. If you look at the budget of Nigeria every year, the money that goes to road construction, you will notice that there are some states that have a large chunk of that, those projects. And you see that there are some states that don't have at all. And it's because at the point of making the budget, there are people whose voices are heard at that time, and they are able to get their constituent, the roads from their constituencies into the project. And in Benue, we are still not doing well in that regard. I recall in 2016 when I rode on his head at the National Assembly. I'm aware because I was part of the efforts. And eventually he couldn't even get it passed immediately, but eventually it got into the budget. But something started, but somehow there was no funding again, and the contractor has backed away from that road. So that is the problem in Benue. We need to learn the politics of getting our roads into the federal government budget for them to be passed, and how the roads get into the budget. The roads, it is the Federal Ministry of Works that prepares the budget. They submit it, they are part of the executive, so they submit it for approval. So if the Federal Ministry of Works does not capture the road in your state, it will not be submitted for consideration. So that is where we should start from. So regarding the question that the caller, what the caller said about the governor being in good terms with the president, I don't think that's the best way, because if we are going to do things lawfully, a governor fixes a road. If the road is not, except they want to do this thing. So, I think the best approach is, okay, how do you get this road into the budget? It is through lobbying. That is how Nigeria works, because in this Nigeria lobbying that we are doing in Benue, and we need to learn.
Okay, so our federal legislators need to learn the art of lobbying to get our roads in the budgets.
Exactly.
All right. Chief Ujege, you are itching to say something on that. But yes. Additionally, I would like you to help us understand if the federal government, in your opinion, is making enough budgetary allocation for roads infrastructure, especially in Benue State, and how our legislators can also cash in on that.
I would like to comment on this. He's put it so well, and I just want to commend him for what he said. I was involved in a refund of money to states for the work they did for federal government. I did that for Kebbi, and I did that for Lagos. When I billion naira. In Kebbi, I gave about 2 billion naira. And other states for refund for the maintenance of road or construction of roads. And I'm saying it's possible and it's workable. What happened was, as she said, the engineers, the directors in the Ministry of Works, don't overlook them. It's from there that policies are initiated. Not that policies are accepted, but they initiate things, they put things on paper. And then the minister accepts or not. Designed, how about that road? And it was there. I said, look, let's get the other half designed, and then a contract awarded. He didn't look at it. So lobbying is extremely important. Not lobbying for constituency allocation, lobbying for major roads that will help the local government or the state. It's extremely important, because if it's not on paper, the House of Rep wouldn't consider it, and the House of Senate wouldn't consider it, and the Executive Council wouldn't consider it. So we are telling our members of National Assembly in Benue to help our governor. I have been able to work with one of the special advisors on top this thing, and we are trying to put the road in my local government in the budget, and he has done very well. Maybe by next year, when the budget comes out, that thing will be there.
Okay, which is why the state can also leverage on experience of experts like you who have been at that top level to access some of these routes to get there.
Of course. When I enter, most of the office were engineers there. They all know me. Those who were not there when I was there, they know the name. But maybe because we are trying to help our societies here, they are not in politics. People don't know the value we can give. Because I have all the time. I can go there, sit if the state government or any of these persons says I should go and work. I don't mind. I'm a humble person. I'll go and wait outside to see the director. But when they hear that I'm outside, they stop everything and call me in. So if they want to use me, fine, I'm there.
Have you made yourself available? You should also approach government with a proposal. How about that, sir?
I will approach the government with a proposal.
All right, Zava, quickly.
I think I need to comment on that. He doesn't have to approach the government with a proposal. If you want to do something, you ask around and you know people who are good at that thing. So if you want to talk about federal roads, who knows it better than him? So they have to come looking for him. The problem with taking proposal to government is that they think you are coming to look for something to eat. And I don't think elders should be passing through that stress at this, but they should come to him. We are professionals. They should look for us.
Okay, let's take some messages, and when we come back, if one or two more calls, I will draw concluding thoughts. This one says, our politicians do promise us many things, including road construction during rallies, but we don't get to see them when they are voted. Ukeyima Zoho from Agan. Ukeyima, thank you for your message. This one says, greetings, presenter. I am Otwen Hemming Godwin from Tinenune, Batiam, Ukum local government area. I want to emphatically posit that the federal government should look into the nature of federal roads in the country. The state of federal roads in the country is becoming unbecoming, unbearable maybe. Most especially in Benue State, making it difficult for farmers to produce, difficult for farm produce to be conveyed to the federal government to quickly address this. Thank you, Godwin Hemen, for your message. Another one says, I am Moses Ngoto that went from Naka. Firstly, I want to appreciate the federal government for the construction of roads, but people are dying due to accident every day. So think about this. Okay, federal government, you are urged to think about that. Think about it and find a solution. This one says, as captivating, it is our chance on policies to invest and capital expenditure on road maintenance. Good morning, Isaac Utsua from We appreciate you for participating on the program. This one says, good morning to you and the guests. The deplorable state of Nigeria's road is a major concern that affects the country's economy, safety, and quality of life. Causes lack of maintenance and funding, corruption, and misinvestment. The effects of these could include accidents and fatalities, traffic congestion, and gridlocks. Statistics indicate that 40% of Nigeria's roads are in poor condition. Solutions should be increased funding and budget allocation, private sector participation and investment. Citizens can also demand accountability from government, support road safety initiatives, and report road defects and maintenance needs. Advocate increased funding and participate in community road maintenance efforts. Ephraim from Naka, from Welfare Quarters in Makurdi. All right, Ephraim, thank you very much for sending in your message. Those are some that we are able to take in our SMS box and WhatsApp as well. We'll take a few more calls, and when we're back, we'll try to draw our concluding thoughts. The line to call is 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives. Hello. Okay, unfortunately, we lost connection with that caller. 0814-335-9292. That's the line for calls. 0814-335-9292. Good morning. Okay, it does appear there is a glitch with the network, and sometimes when efforts are being made to take the course, they go off. But all the same, we're about concluding, and our desire is to hear from one or two persons at least. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I'm Azu from Gumanaka government.
The name is who? Speak up well so we hear you.
Azu from Gumanaka government.
Azu.
Yes, from
okay.
Gumanaka government.
Which part of Goma?
Tulen.
Good.
You get our road. This our federal road to link to Taraba State to update to Gasha to Tulen to Logo. They start doing the road to Agasha. They just stop. They just do one portion. They do gutter both sides. Do ratual and put this thing ties. Do the thing and they just leave the thing. And they just do one portion like that and leave it. You don't understand.
Okay.
Not on site.
Okay. Thank you. We hope, since that one is on, we hope they should come back to site. Thank you, Azu, too. Thank you very much for calling in. All right. Perhaps that, because for want of time, that will be the last call we will take on the program so we can gradually conclude. But, Engineer Agber, overall, what should be the immediate solutions to rehabilitating reconstruction of roads in terms of even the contractors, indigenous contractors? Are they doing quality jobs? And what kind of specifications should government give as a standard for rehabilitation and construction of federal roads in Benue? This should be your concluding thoughts.
Familiar with that because before you are awarded a contract, you must have complement of all the professionals. And once the professionals are involved, they demand that you implement in line with the design codes and provisions. Our local contractors, in my own opinion, are doing a very nice job. They should be monitoring to ensure that they have all the professionals. Once you engage the services of all the professionals, they will give you a quality job. Long-term effect, I had earlier said it, that the federal government, possibly the state government, should adopt public-private partnership models for construction and maintenance of our roads infrastructure. That is my own submission.
Okay, Engineer Zava, let me have your thoughts on what can be done to sustain the durability of some of the roads that may have been rehabilitated and those constructed. The federal roads.
We just have to start implementing construction best practices that are available. Now, the problem we have right now, I was involved in project monitoring. So when we got to site, one thing I noticed was that there was no document with which to check what the contractor is doing. It means that the groundwork that needs to be done before contracts are awarded was not done, and that is what government is doing right now consistently. They just call a contractor, please work on this road, and they sign contract and they start working without doing the groundworks. The groundworks involve a design, coming up with construction document and specification. All the contractor needs to do is to follow them. And the person supervising the contractor is looking at the specification and looking at what the contractor is doing, whether they correspond. That is the only way we can get value for the money we are spending on the road construction, because we don't have roads, and the little one that needs to be done, they put money there and it is still not done well. That's a problem.
Okay. Engineer Ujege, you talked about a fund for roads. Is the government making enough budgetary allocation? How can it improve if it is not making enough? And the funding for roads, what should be the structure of it, especially for roads in Benue?
We're talking about federal roads.
Yes.
If I have my way, the National Assembly should stop these constituency allowances and divert the money to road maintenance. Because road maintenance goes through every senator or House of Representatives constituency. Why do you share that money as booty? You should pull the money and give to FEMA or Federal Ministry of Works. Let them maintain the roads in form of FEMA. But if you want to do a good job, let them bring into what we call that a PPP or road user charges, and road fund, road user charges or road fund. That's the only way we can go in order to improve what we are doing. Get these constituency allowances out. Let's have a PPP, and thereafter, let's also have a road fund that will be dedicated for the maintenance of roads.
Okay, this will be where we draw concluding the lines on today's edition of Perspectives, which we focused on the conditions of federal roads in Benue State. Engineer Edward Ujege is an elder statesman, a former director of Federal Highways, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. We thank you very much indeed, sir, for your time with us on the program and the insights you shared with us.
Thank you very much.
Engineer Terhemba Agber is a civil engineer, the former state chairman, Nigerian Institution of Water Engineers, Benue State Chapter, currently the Assistant National Program Coordinator of the institution and a fellow of that institution. Engineer Agber, we appreciate you for coming on Perspectives.
Thank you very much.
Engineer Aper Zava is a civil engineering scholar in the Department of Civil Engineering at the Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, Makurdi. We appreciate you for your time, Engineer Zava.
Thank you for having me.
Dear listener, thank you so much for your listenership. We are here because you are there for us always. Thank you for always joining us, and kindly join us on Wednesday for a fresh edition of Perspectives. We hope the authorities will get their attention turned to the condition of the federal roads, as you have listened to Benue people draw your attention to it. My name is Nathaniel Nongu. Have yourself a great week ahead. Goodbye. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.